Brilliance Audio presents Priests de la Résistance, the loose canons who fought fascism in the 20th century, by the Revd Fergus Butler-Gallie, performed by Simon Mattox. There is a story that echoes around the beer halls of Prague. It's as much part of the atmosphere as the folds of tobacco smoke and the groups of old men invariably huddled in the corner, who will, if the reader is prepared to pay for a round of drinks, relate the tale themselves, replete with a sworn affidavit that they knew people who saw it happen, despite the fact that it was almost certainly the invention of a Czech novelist. The story tells of an incident during the Nazi occupation of Prague, not long after the appointment of Reinhard Heydrich, the director of the Gestapo, as protector of Bohemia and Moravia in 1941. Heydrich was perhaps the most zealous member of the whole Nazi leadership. Even Hitler commented on his absolute lack of pity, referring to the tall Saxon as the man with the iron heart. He was utterly committed to the ideology of Nazism, and his rule in Prague was supposed to be a dry run for how newly conquered territories would be administered when the inevitable total victory of fascism was achieved. Heydrich set about his task with great enthusiasm, displaying a callous, urbane efficiency in consigning both places and people to oblivion. A key part of Heydrich's programme was to demonstrate the superiority of the Reich's Teutonic culture over all others, but especially over the degenerate Slavic and Jewish cultures, both of which were in abundant evidence in the city of Prague. As befits the birthplace of Don Giovanni, Prague is home to myriad opera houses, musical theatres and concert halls. Perhaps the grandest of these is the Rudolfinum, a barn of a building, its roof ringed by statues of the great composers who have looked out sullenly on the river Vltava since the late 19th century. Heydrich, so the story goes, became aware that among these inanimate virtuosi there was a stone Mendelssohn, a composer despised by the Führer on account of his Jewish birth. Consequently, the Reichsprotector ordered the removal and destruction of the offending sculpture. A group of soldiers were dispatched to the concert hall accordingly, only to be met with tight-lipped silence as to which of the statues was, in fact, Mendelssohn from the building's Czech curators, who, incidentally, will of course have been regulars in whichever pub the reader chooses to have the tale related to them. Frustrated, the soldiers used good Nazi logic and, after some searching, sourced a tape measure with which they proceeded to measure the noses of each of the statues. Having established which symphonist had the most sizable conch, they began to have it removed, only for an onlooker to shout up that the figure they were in fact removing was Richard Wagner, Hitler's favourite composer. The verisimilitude of the tale aside, it does highlight certain aspects of fascism that are undoubtedly true. Foremost is its phenomenal pettiness. That one of the most senior officials of what was supposed to be a 1,000-year Reich, destined to stretch across continents and radically change human society forever, decided to take time out of his day to fuss over the cosmetics of a music hall is astonishing. It's one of the reasons why fascist figures from Chaplin's The Great Dictator to South Park's Eric Cartman have consistently been considered so pathetic. It is hard not to laugh at the banality of it all. And yet, that banality is, as Hannah Arendt so famously pointed out, one of the most chilling things about totalitarian ideology. To fuss over the identities of a set of 60-year-old statues is ludicrous, but to do it and then calmly order the slaughter of thousands of human beings is deeply disturbing. It is a tendency that has outlasted the particular incarnation of totalitarianism described above, from the arcane and complex ranks of the Ku Klux Klan to the propensity of dictators to pursue personal vendettas against people of proportionately little importance. Given this focus on minutiae, by equal measures amusing and appalling, it's not surprising that much resistance to fascism consists of small acts of defiance: the smuggled loaf of bread, the individual refusal to salute, the one life saved. One tiny act of resistance is enough to prove that the totalitarians' victory is not in fact total, that they will never conquer everything.